Today, we will enjoy a story about a young, ruthless gamer who enjoys boasting about his achievements in the game Lucid Adventure. His name is Ethan Gong, but in the game, he goes under the name Hardcore Leveling Warrior, spreading terror among the player base, while making a living through selling boosts for real money. The story begins with Ethan being proud and laughing maniacally for obtaining the rarest and most desired armor in the whole game, the golden armor. While acting like a total loser lunatic, we can see him falling backwards from his overly complex and expensive game setup. He hits his head, feeling a lot of loser pain. In the process of him acting like a dumb dummy, he smashes his expensive limited edition phone, but he does not care as he can easily afford to replace it. Suddenly, Ethan receives a "What's up" notification for a message with the text, "Pay back," from someone named Hearthhitter. We then see him moving through his extremely spacious room, where he not only has his bed and gaming setup, but also a collection of very expensive cars. We move on to Ethan going to bed and plugging his headphones on. In this way, we find out that not only he gets to sleep, but also connects to the Lucid Adventure game through a magical app on his phone, and we see him menacingly arriving in the game's main town while capturing the attention of all other players. While strolling through the city and constantly being stared down by the whole player base, we get to hear everyone's opinion of our protagonist. Hardcore grins, delusionary, thinking that everyone is staring at him because they are jealous of him, and not because they think he is a loser griefer who makes everyone else's playing experience worse. He parades around like he is some sort of super popular celebrity. Out of nowhere, an oblivious noob stops him and asks for gold. This creates panic among the player community, as the noob does not understand what he is doing. At the start, Hardcore was confused, while the crowd around him was shocked. He then revealed a bag with 1,000 gold coins, leaving the beginners in awe of the large sum. Hardcore then slaps the noob for his impudence, delivering a maximum damage critical hit, instantly sending the noob flying and unaliving him, leaving the crowd in shock. Afterwards, we see the town guard rushing towards our protagonist with the intention of arresting him for PKing another player. However, Hardcore manages to bribe the guard with the gold, thus escaping prison and making the guard very happy. In the next scene, Hardcore meets Hearthheater, the guy who messaged him earlier. We are at his base of operation where he acts as a loan shark. It seems that the main character has taken out a loan from Hearthheater, using real-world money to buy expensive golden armor. The lender warns Hardcore that he dislikes people who fail to repay their debts, and advises him not to become one of them. Our protagonist appears to be ignoring Hearthheater's warnings, as he is the most powerful player in the world and feels invincible. However, before the loan shark entrusts him with the quest to make the money, he is required to sign another contract to solidify the agreement. The loan shark hands Hardcore the agreement with one hand, but our protagonist becomes upset as it is customary to hand it over with two hands. Without reading it, Hardcore signs the agreement, but the loan shark becomes amused that he signed it without looking at its content. We then move on to Hardcore battling a giant blue serpent in order to complete the quest. The snake lunges forward. Its large mouth and teeth captures Hardcore in one bite. While inside his mouth, the monster envelops Hardcore in its venom and taunts him, saying he won't survive the attack no matter how much he struggles, as he has become its prey. Smirking, Hardcore calls the monster a little snake and begins slashing his whole body from the inside, making the snake shocked and confused about why his venom does not work. In just a few moments, our protagonist emerges heroically from the now butchered body of the monster. Having finished the job, Hardcore thinks it was too easy and arrogantly wonders why the monster has to bleed too much. Upon checking the quest menu, he notices that the quest has not been marked as complete, even though he killed the snake. However, his primary concern at the moment is the sticky blood on his armor, which he promptly proceeds to clean. Out of nowhere, Hardcore gets hit by an incredibly potent magical attack. Looking around his surroundings, realizes that he was surrounded by an army of players. The players appeared to be ecstatic as they had been eagerly awaiting for the moment when Hardcore would finally be tired out. As the players gazed upon the enormous crater created by the powerful attack, one of them suggested that Hardcore might be dead, but another player disagreed and called him an idiot. The first player explained that the attack was a combination of 20 magical skills, and that it was impossible for anyone to survive it. When the smoke and dust settled, Hardcore stood unscathed with an irritated look, ready to launch a fire spell at the attackers. Finishing the incantation, he summons a huge cone of flames and fires it toward the players. One of the loser ganking players is surprised to see that the protagonist possesses the Hellfire Wizard skill, which is typically associated with a wizard class rather than a warrior. Since the players had the high ground, our protagonist only took the front line of the attackers. Nevertheless, the main loser ganker is frustrated since he claims to have spent all his resources on this operation, and with that fire attack, Hardcore should be out of energy. Then, he commands a full-on attack. Upon becoming aware of the assault, our protagonist effortlessly repelled, absorbed, and dodged all incoming attacks. Feeling fed up, Hardcore switches to attack mode and charges towards the enemies. In one swift motion, he dispatches the entire ganking party, leaving no survivors and standing alone in the middle of the pile of corpses. From behind him, a shadowy figure arises, but our protagonist claims to have expected it. We see now a much larger and more terrifying monster towering over Hardcore. Our protagonist explains that it drew a summoning spell with its own blood and thus became a zombie dragon, as expected, of a double S quest level. At the same time, we see the numb noob from town, crawling out from the pile of corpses. But as expected, Hardcore noticed him and tells him not to bother with any attacks since they will not work on him. He also states that this time he would give him a chance to run away since he is busy with killing the monster. The noob stubbornly ignores the warnings and charges towards our protagonist. Hardcore is amazed that this guy, only level 3, tries to attack him, especially with such a sloppy attack that will not work on him. Placing his hand in front to stop the attack, the ugly-looking dagger manages to pierce Hardcore, leaving him surprised. After the attack, the face of the noob transforms into a sexy-looking young lady that asks our protagonist if he thought he was going to be winning forever. Hardcore is left in shock as he does not understand what is happening to him. Suddenly, the attacks manage to land on him, making him feel pain and distress. The now young lady, wearing inappropriate classical MMO female armor, states that now our protagonist avoiding critical damage and things like that is just a matter of luck and that he is losing at his own game. Hardcore angrily demands to know the woman's identity and calls her a dumb bitch. Feeling insulted, the woman clenches her fist and punches our protagonist right in his ugly face, telling him not to be so rude to a young lady. She proceeds to apply various amounts of punches, kicks, and all other types of hits. After being bruised and beaten, our protagonist is left wondering why she is doing this to him. After defeating Hardcore, the woman stands on top of him and asks if he takes any damage while wearing his pretentious armor and items, and commands him to take them off. Our protagonist suddenly finds himself without his golden armor and any other items, leaving him naked and with only his skill attributes to defend himself. He starts screaming in despair, but he gets instantly kicked in the head and silenced. Now, with his head on the ground, Hardcore asks the woman if she doesn't know who he is and threatens her that he will restart and destroy her. Once again, he asks her who she is. Her response is that he will know soon enough, and from this moment forward, he will just have to go crazy looking for her. Confused, he asks her to stop talking nonsense and to give him back his armor and other items. Unfazed, the young woman sarcastically informs him that she's scared and will take his belongings, warning him that it will be waking up soon. The woman wishes Hardcore good luck and begins to move away as the monster, now reawakened, towers over our protagonist. Before her departure, the woman revealed she is aware that Hardcore's stats would reset to 0 upon his death. She smirked, thanked him for the items, and left him for good, leaving him more confused about how she knew so much about him. Inevitably, the monster lunges towards our protagonist. His final words are, "Damn it, I will kill you." And with one bite, Hardcore's head is chopped off.